Hi, I'm Blake Hounshell. I'm Managing Editor at Foreign Policy Magazine, and we're here at the Global Thinkers Gala for 2011. I'm here with Joseph Nye, who is one of the foremost scholars in the world of international relations, famous for many, many things, among them coining terms soft power and smart power. So let me just get right into it. And my first question is, the US administration, the Obama administration, likes to throw around smart power. Are they using it the way its author intended?
I think they've done pretty well. I mean, power is the ability to affect others to get what you want. And you can do that three ways. You can do it by coercion, sticks. You can do it by carrots, payments. You can do it by attraction and persuasion, which is what I call soft power. The ability to combine hard and soft together is smart power. I think Obama has actually been pretty good at that. I mean, they not only use the slogan, but if you look at what he did in Libya, he waited until he had an Arab League resolution. He waited until he had a UN resolution. And if he hadn't, the narrative from Morocco to Indonesia would have been US invades third Muslim country in a row. By waiting to use his hard power until he had that soft power of legitimacy from these resolutions, that's smart power.
Now, move away from the Middle East for a second, and there are lots of people who've been saying, for years that China is eating our lunch. I know that you've got a book out recently that's arguing the opposite, so let's hear you make that case.
Well, I make the case in The Future of Power that China is done extremely well. It's going to get a lot closer to the US than it's been. I still don't think they're going to pass the US. People talk about American decline, they mistake absolute and relative decline. Absolute decline is what happened to ancient Rome. It decays from within. Relative decline means the gap diminishes. Doesn't mean the other country necessarily passes. I think China is going to reduce the gap. I don't think they're necessarily going to pass the US. The reason for that is that though China will have a gross domestic product larger than the US, probably within this decade, they're not going to be equal in purchasing power parity per capita for another 20, 30 or more years. And the sophistication of economy is measured by per capita income, not by just total size. And then if you look at other dimensions of power, economic power is one, but military power is extremely important still. Soft power is very important. China's not going to equal the US in military or soft power for quite some time. So I think the people who sort of over-dramatize China beating the US are setting up a false competition. The biggest problem we have in terms of US-China relationship is getting into a situation where we make the mistakes that, let's say, Britain made about Germany, which led to World War I. Too much fear can cause a bad outcome in and of itself. What we need to do is have a bit more confidence in our ability to deal with China. And in that sense, we have a lot more to gain from working and cooperating with China than just competing against them. So I think you can have a self-fulfilling prophecy of conflict with China. I don't think we have to have that.
Now, if you were advising the Chinese, how would you advise them to beat us?
Well, it's interesting. There was a piece by a Chinese scholar recently said that the Chinese should beat us by developing soft power. And Hu Jintao told the 17th Party Congress of the Chinese Communist Party that China needed to invest more in soft power. And they're spending billions of dollars on it. Everything from Confucius Institutes and American universities to having basically an international broadcasting system in Mandarin, which...
Some would say spy network.
Well, spy network is whatever. I don't think we have to worry too much about that because the Chinese can't develop their soft power until they realize a lot of soft power comes out of civil society, not out of governments. And the Chinese have a very hard time letting go and letting civil society prevail. I was once giving a talk at Beijing University, and students asked me, how do we increase our soft power? And I said, I'll tell you the answer, but you're not going to like it. I said, relax. I said, if you would just let your film industry do what the Indian film industry does, you'd be the equal of Bollywood. Why is it that Bollywood dominates and you don't? Is it because your film producers and your actors and actresses aren't as good? Of course not. It's because you have something India doesn't have, censors. So when you get rid of the censors, you'll be able to generate the same kind of soft power that Bollywood does. I said, I told you I'd give you the answer, but you wouldn't like it.
Now, a lot of our scholars, and we've actually done surveys about this, cite your books as one of their greatest intellectual influences. My last question for you is, who is your intellectual muse? Who do you, or have you listened to, or has inspired you in coming up with your own ideas?
Well, lots of people and lots of thinkers. I studied philosophy, politics, and economics at Oxford, and I found I learned an awful lot from Oxford linguistic philosophy. A.J. Ayer, Neil, others, who made me think more carefully, more precisely as I use terms. I think that intellectual influence of making sure that when you use a word or a concept, you know exactly what it means and use it very carefully, that's probably the strongest intellectual influence that I've had.
Great.
Nice to see you.
Thank you so much.